Joined now by Joel Rubin. He's a former Deputy U.S. Assistant Secretary of State and author of Saving Democracy, Democratic Foreign Policy, that is. Joining us from Washington. Good to have you with us, Joel. Thanks for coming back on the show. I'm going to start out with this big picture issues to throw your way here. President Trump has been sort of widely criticized recently, in particular for only fighting, half the war. Then, with an upper hand, gave diplomacy an honest chance for 2 months, many would argue. Did this chapter, help build some political capital to renew combat operations for President Trump at home? What did he get out of this?
Yeah, David, it's a great question. And for President Trump, unfortunately, he squandered the leverage he gained through the military strikes of the first couple of months. And then he did a unilateral ceasefire. Yeah. He thought he could get Iran to comply, engage, and have some kind of an agreement. And during that time, what he didn't do is, to your question, is he did not try to build up our diplomatic power by aligning with our traditional allies and some other non-traditional allies, be it in the Gulf and elsewhere, to really keep the pressure on Iran. So that diplomatic capital has not grown. And so I think now we're watching the president trying to restore or obtain once again some of the leverage that he lost over the last couple of months.
Along this line, too, that lots been made this week, and again, it's certainly here in Israel, but I know in the U.S. as well. President Trump, Prime Minister Netanyahu, the rift, some saying, look, this is political theater, it's part of a mutual strategy. In the end, it appeared that both of them walked away with at least some gained political points with their bases, Trump having stood up to Netanyahu in some kind of way, Netanyahu having withstood that pressure. Is it part of a mutual strategy? What's your read on these two and their dynamic?
Honestly, I just don't see any credibility to the idea that there's a break between the two. I know that there are going to be people who want to see more out of Donald Trump and don't like it if he criticizes the prime minister. He criticizes everybody. He criticizes people in his own party. He criticizes the Senate Majority Leader when he's not happy and the Speaker of the House. So this is not a crazy way for him to operate. And ultimately, you look at results, you look at what's happening on the ground and actions, and basically it shows that President Trump and the Prime Minister have a very close working relationship. And it's gone, and I have to add this, gone through the test of time, right? There was a moment when the Prime Minister, even after the 2020 election, upset Donald Trump, but then he repaired it. So I just don't buy that there's some kind of break between the two in any way, shape, or form.
Just want to throw out there, the updates in my ears say that there's apparently through the Qataris a draft of some kind of agreement being presented to President Trump. So something else is moving besides, U.S. military assets at this point. But a side note, Joel, look, Iran has been attempting, to link Lebanon directly to any of this diplomacy with the United States. It appears we're trying to break this linkage, but I want to add to this. So Iran emerged this week really as the now umbrella protector for its proxies. They never had that stance before. This is really the opposite of their strategy all these years, where the proxies served as the cover for Iran. Have they overextended? Have they reached too far here, opening the door for these increasingly punishing U.S. and Israeli and Gulf ally strikes? It's a new dynamic.
Well, it shows a lot of desperation on their part to be essentially exposing themselves to direct Israeli retaliation on behalf of an organization that is not only getting pummeled by Israel, but is reviled by the Lebanese people and the Lebanese government. And one has to ask what the long-term play is. If it's just to try to show these proxies that, hey, we still need you, we're willing to send a couple missiles out there on your behalf, and Houthis, don't forget, we're your guys too, then I guess there's some value in that, but it really does expose them. They didn't have success in those attacks. If anything, it demonstrated that what Iran has is much more modest compared to 4 or 5 months ago. And for Hezbollah, we got to add, look, there's a direct diplomatic track between Israel and the Lebanese government right now, and it's exposing how Iran has colonized Lebanon and is taking over part of the Lebanese territory that it has no rights to own. And I think they're also getting desperate because of that and the showing of how that is just a policy that undermines their narrative and hurts the Lebanese people.
Incredible display, I don't know, a month or so ago, where the Beirut tried to evict the Iranian ambassador for him only to say, no, I'm staying. You're not in charge here. Many interesting sides. Joel Rubin, thanks for being with us on this developing story as it is.
Thanks, David.
Now, the focus for Israel.